Hi the YouTube, today is July 9th, 2016, and I finally decided to open my heart and talk about the dogs. So first of all, I'm gonna apologize to all the dog lovers for hurting their feelings, but I'm not apologizing for telling my feelings and telling my experience. So let me jump with a conclusion. I've been thinking about this quite extensively. People who have dogs, they tend to hide behind he is my little son. She is my little daughter. It's the member of the family. I love him so much. Because I can understand you. Because I also love the dog more than anything. I really. In Bangkok, there was only one person who loved me, and that was a Snjufi. And she was a dog. And I hugged her repeatedly, and I felt her love, and there was a soul inside. However, this was exception which was justifying the rule. Between BTS or underground train and Casa, where I was living, apartment house 900 meters down the road, there have been two serious packs of dogs. And they've been really stressing me out and everybody else who was not feeding them out of the fear or using scooter from that reason, which was 10 baht. So, Kruno dogs. So let me start first. Okay, now I cleared myself and explained to you that I also once in a life felt a love to the dog. And it was not once, it was actually two times. However, now comes the part you're not gonna like. And this part is this. The ego. You see, dog is extension of a man's ego. This is the reason why men tend to have big dogs. So, what happens is this. A person loves something which is essentially a psychopath. Your dog is a psychopath. That is because your dog has a reptilian brain and it has a brain of a mammal. However, it doesn't have frontal lobe where is a compassion. That means your dog is perfectly capable of worshipping you who's feeding him and petting him. And that means that your dog is perfectly capable of chasing other people and biting them because they are not part of the group. And when that is happening, you feel empowered. And I know that because once in a life, I was just walking something like a pit bull dog of my friend. It was a very, very nice dog. He was a French hippie. It was like almost 10 years ago I met the guy. Very cool guy. And I was walking his dog in Rijeka, and people been moving left and right, and everybody was looking at me with such a respect in the eyes I never encountered in my life. And this was boosting my ego, and I really felt powerful with that dog which was pushing me forward. Imagine this. You are suddenly walking down the street you've been walking so many years, and suddenly everybody moves left and right like you are royal. And this is the reason why people love dogs. So dogs, big dogs, give them that feeling. Even small dog is intimidating and, pushing away other people and making for you space, making the territory, which is, of course, one of the characteristics of a dog. Dog is territorial animal, and people who love dogs tend also to be territorial, right? So now we are coming to the point. What is essentially your excuse for a love is a menace for other people. This is the excuse for a love because if you really have a love in your heart, and if you really have a love for other beings, then my friend, you can also love small goldfish, you can also love small bird, and you can also love animals dog lovers tend to despise. A cat. Because, let's face it, a cat is not somebody you can point with a finger and go, and then cat goes and starts intimidating somebody with other cats. That sucks about them, right? They're good for petting, they're excellent pets, they're cleaning your house from mice and cockroaches, they're cleaning themselves, they're cleaning their shit, but unfortunately, they do not attack other people, and that makes cats so difficult to control, right? Because she's only for cleaning, minding her business, and petting. Am I right, or am I right, Mr. Dog Lovers? Oh, you full of love for other people and beings. Now, what's my problem? Is my problem succumbit where I heard the stories of people with bitten off toes and fingers, and when I managed to fight off number of times dogs and a couple of times such a terrible dogs with such a horrible look in their eyes, which was telling me, I gonna own you, bitch. And only folks helped me in those couple of occasions because I didn't manage to fight them off with my small Swiss Army knife, which is of course a more psychological thing than a real knife. And then what happened? What really woke me up, and I filmed this dog quite a number of times. Guys, this is more than a coincidence. It happened here a couple of times that I was really into deep meditation, and in deep meditation I was warned that dogs are approaching, and dogs been approaching to attack me. Okay? So, if this is not an evidence that when I'm in a meditation and when I'm opening my heart to the world, that open heart is somehow negatively triggering that dog, then tell me what is dwelling in most of these animals. If you think that they are instruments of love and compassion, I do assure you to go through my footages when I'm talking about psychopaths and showing those pictures of functioning frontal lobes and non-functioning frontal lobes, and I compare that with the animals which simply do not have frontal lobes. And then compare that with the aggressive and you know what? Sleazy behavior, when he's like all around you, waving with your little tail, and then immediately jumping on some kids to start intimidating it. This is psychopathic behavior. So, you know what? I know that I'm gonna lose quite a bit of friends, but when I started to wake up, I started to notice this such an incredible, obvious pieces of matrix around us, which people are so mind-controlled, so brain-fucked, they can't even notice. Dogs, simple bunches of dogs everywhere attacking me. Every day of my life, I've been chased by the dogs. Every day. Maybe only they're jumping out of the yard and, barking, that's it. Or maybe following me, trying to bite or something. But every day. Do you understand it? And I have a proof, just to put some examples on the internet. And you tell me your opinion. If your opinion is, I have a dog, I love my dog, I love my dog, and I love my dog, then of course, I don't really have to listen it, but of course, yes, I will, of course. Yes, I understand you, yeah, I do understand you, I just said that. But I also understand other things. I also understand the need for domination, and I'll give you another example, a thought. Honest thought for all of you. Would this world be better without dogs? Ask yourself. I know my answer. My answer is 100% absolutely and always yes. This world would be so much better without dogs. And yet you're gonna tell me that he's my little daughter, she's my little daughter, he's my little son. Well, you know what? Stop being a white man or a white woman. Choose another option for a pregnancy apart from abortion, and then you might also get a real child. And then you might also love that real child. And then you're going to figure it out. It's so better to have a real child than a dog. It's so much more intelligent and it's not biting other people. Okay, yeah, this is my advice for you. Do not abort. Really, I'm really in your face, culturally speaking. And then a second thing, that's right. And a second thing is, regarding the dog, and I'm just going to tell you, I've been traumatized by 3 groups. Dogs, I'm afraid when I see them. Croatian police officers, I'm afraid when I see them since 1989 when they've been beating people in my neighborhood only because of the wrong nationality. And back then it was Croatian nationality, but I'm still afraid of the same police. And I'm also afraid of the gypsies because they've beaten me up a number of times. I'm simply afraid of these 3 groups which have been constantly attacking me all my life. Gypsies in my neighborhood, of course, a number of times. I've been sent to hospitals, not only person. It's totally normal. This is not a race. This is simply the way things are in Rijeka. They simply beat you up. If you're white and they are gypsies, that's how it goes. And then you have a second group, which is Croatian police, of course, corrupt to the teeth, extremely negative. They don't really give a shit about Croatian people. Always checking papers. After 10 o'clock, you are their bitch. And when somebody's like insulting you 40 years and beating up people around you, you don't really feel comfortable with these guys around. You know, they are simply organized crime, but in, you know, with the uniform. That's how it is. I don't really like to see them at all. And the only thing I ever done criminally in my life was I was caught once with a half joint with two other guys, and I was caught in the, now it's the promenade area in the Rijeka, but before it was like a port area. It's a beautiful pier by the, you know, it goes like a couple of kilometers in the sea, so like my criminal activities are a joke. But that also explains why I'm not part of that group as well, officially or unofficially. And then you have that element, and then of course I explained the dog, my enemy since I started to meditate. Because when I started to meditate, I started to go to that hill where people with dogs hang out, and I was like, I was attacked. Like I could like do updates and updates on incidents. I just gonna single one when I was bitten, and not badly, and I will single one such a horrible trauma. There was one war veteran in 1996 that was fresh after the war. He was like crazy, like, you know, like a war veteran, and, you know, full of himself. Of course, he just fought for the Croatia, and the guy was like crazy, you know, mentally crazy, which is again, you know, typical thing. Inflated ego, aggressive, and with a huge credibility that he can shit on everybody else. You understand me? That kind of guy who got lucky because there was a war, virtually. This kind of character. And he had two dogs. Those dogs been mentally fucked because they've been in war with him. He's been absolutely running after every woman and child they could possibly get, and he was there to back them up, and he was fighting physically with everybody. Man, I was so afraid of these guys. So I'm just telling you, and now when I hear the single sound, I remember small Swiss Army knife, and then the guy went ballistic, and I was running away. Dude, you know, this is Croatia. This is the problem with dogs in Croatia. You have insane people, the same attitude, your family members attacking you, and they're joining in. I was also attacked once, but it was in front of my house by the German Shepherd, and he beat me. I was, you know, I was, after that, you know, if I would see a dog around me, I would lock my eyes on a dog and just watch where he goes, and just observe. Who's the owner, who's the dog. I'll tell you another example. I just want to tell you, it really did open my heart. This example is not so dramatic for you. For me, it was incredibly stressful. I was in this beautiful park area, which is more like a forest, very close to my area where I live in Rijeka, which is really a piece of forest. A beautiful park where is now, unfortunately, a football field. They're gonna build more of these beer drinking facilities for zombies. But back in the day, it was a piece of forest, and still is, and I was under that beautiful oak tree reading one of my favorite books, which is the 100 Years of Solitude of Marquez Garcia, and I was enjoying because that book can really catapult me into you know, it's a magical book. I really love to read it again and again. And I was by that place, by the oak, you know, on my yoga mat, reading that book, and then suddenly one moment, big black dog, whoa, 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 by my ear, and I'm like, you know, I felt pain all over my body, and then by that dog there is this beautiful blonde girl with a leash, and I'm like, Miss, could you please put the dog on the leash, put the dog on the leash, and she's like just looking at me and does not give a shit. You understand that? Completely calm, uninterested, looking at me in a stress. Now, woken up from reading a book from her dog, and she simply did not give a shit. I slowly started to read. She was dead. She, as a person, did not give a shit. And you know what? This is one of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of examples. And I give you an example which was a turning point. And this was, it took me, you know what, how many years to dare to buy this knife, which is legal to hold in Croatia. It took me from 1996, when I started to really hang out there and meditate, to 2008 to buy this one. You see how this one is big and it's legal? It's four finger one. So it's legal to have it, and this one saved me from so many dogs, really, so many dogs. I'm very grateful to this knife. I never hurted an animal with this knife. I never hit a dog with it. They've been always far away. Luckily, good for them and for me, but it was really helpful. But I just want to give you another example when I simply realized how to deal with the dogs and their owners. And this was in 2008. I just got it. I paid it like 280 kuna. It's like whatever euros. And no, less, 30 euros, sorry. And there was this guy with his dog. There's always some guy with a dog. And then a dog started to, and then, jumping left, jumping right, to figure it out which side is the best to go against your thigh, right against your ass, against your back. The dogs, if you've been fighting them off all your life with me. And I was like, like a good Croatian, like a good intellectual guy who speaks 4 languages, like a good Western asshole. I was like, nature. She's not gonna do it. Come on. I lost the problem. And then I took the knife out, and the next reaction was leash dog out. And what was I doing before that? I was just walking. So my crimes against people with dogs were I was reading a book, I was reading Marquez, I was walking down the forest, I was meditating, or I was walking from a coconut place to a coffee place. This is my crime against dogs and people with dogs. Or I was simply going from the BTS to the place where I rent a room in Bangkok. And this is my issue. I think that you guys who have dogs are essentially egoistic, and you are essentially part of the matrix and a problem on this planet. Because, first of all, I proved that the dog is not your excuse that a love is the reason for the dog is a bullshit, because you can love anything. You can even love a flower. So this is not the excuse. You have a dog from egoistic reasons. And now I'm going to come the obvious reason. We have a dog from protection. And I'm going to tell you. Guy there has a geese, and they're excellent sound protection system because they're so loud and they never sleep. They're even better than a dog. So they can raise alarm better than dogs, and they clean area from parasites, and they are nice animals because they do not harm other people and other animals. So if you were a nice person, you would be having a geese as a sound alarm. Another possibility of your protection is to buy yourself a machete, and you will be protected. So you don't need a dog to protect you. You can protect yourself by simply presenting a machete to guys who are throwing something down or moving around your house. Or you can be a good European and buy yourself a 200 euro shotgun. So you can present a shotgun, and you will see you will have no problem with possible intruders. So you really do not need a dog for protection. I am very well protected. I live in a third world country, and I don't have a dog. Why I don't have a dog? Well, I'm obviously not a dog person because I would feel uncomfortable if my dog was around and intimidating other people. I would feel like a shit. Because I have compassion. You understand me? It's working. In my frontal lobe, it's working. How about yours? Huh? And yeah, I'll give you credit. If your dog has a soul, if your dog is well disciplined and a good dog, then he's not a threat in theory, and we both know it's a bullshit. So that much about Kruno and dogs. Did I ever love a dog? Of course I love a dog. I had a small puppy when I was a kid, Lola. I loved Lola. I also had, throughout the life, I was like hanging out with other people, dogs, which accepted me. So I know how lovable that animal can be. However, if you were really compassionate about this planet and about people on this planet, you would be thinking about benefit of all, about benefit of the whole humanity, not about benefit of your personal feelings or your personal I would say, how do you call it, paranoia, that you must be protected. That dog will somehow magically protect you and you must be protected. All of that bullshit, my friend. That's it. Oh yeah, a few other thoughts. I'm gonna finish with this one. There is a region called Lika in Croatia. The region is actually the biggest Croatian region. It is a beautiful region. It's between where I'm from, coast, and Bosnia, western Bosnia, where it's Bihać. It's a scarcely populated area with stunning beauty. Little lakes are there, and there's very beautiful national park with lots of lakes connected. However, that area has also bears, and that area also has wolves. Both groups are heavily protected by the Croatian state. We have expression for somebody who's protected by the state because he's in the establishment. We have zaštićen kao lički medvjed, protected as a bear from Lika. There is also, these two groups, surprisingly or not, are not really dangerous for people. Attacks or unpleasant situations with the bears, I don't remember when it happened. And from wolves, nothing rings the bell, okay? These are the wild animals, and they are not a problem. But there is a third group, which is extremely dangerous in that area, and I had one encounter in that area, like 20 years ago, but I just want to drop that, because I already told you another example. And these are the village dogs, especially shepherd's dogs, which have been used during the season, but then abandoned by the shepherds. And they form packs, they're big dogs, they form packs, and they know men. And I think every year there is one instance when these dogs attacked and simply tear apart the human being. And there was an instance, I remember, before I went to Asia, 2010, 2011, I remember clearly one woman in Lika simply attacked by those dogs and torn apart. And I'm just going to finish with this, and I've seen what dogs can do to another dog when they're tearing him apart. One from here, another one, and then, poor animals screaming, and you hear like all over this area, these dog fights going on, and they're like tearing each other apart, and guys, I just want to finish with this. I said what I said. I rest my case. No more dogs.